Hey folks, welcome back to another video here on Frontier Quest. Today I'd like to make a little video on just different tricks or skills, if you will, of just small things that I've learned while out in the woods. Little skills that will help better your impression and just better your skills. So whenever I'm out in the woods, whether it's I'm on a hunt, trek, just a day scout, I always have a fire kit with me. I like to carry my fire kit in a belt pouch, basically flint and steel. And then at times, depending on the situation, I have a greased bag here where I carry tinder in. But sometimes, like let's say I'm on a day scout or a hunt, this takes up a lot of room, and I don't want to carry a tinder bundle with me. And so a lot of times I just find tinder that's out in the woods. But a few tricks that I've learned, if you're not going to carry your tinder bundle, if you're just relying on what's out in the woods, there's times where there's moisture. It may have just rained. It may be drizzling while you're out there, what have you. And it's kind of hard just to take your flint and steel and your punk or your char cloth and just start a fire. Sometimes you need a little extra. Some of the things that I've discovered and that I carry in this pouch, my belt pouch, are a few little items here. For those of you that live up north, which this is no secret, but birch bark. Birch bark comes in real handy. I've had some birch bark given to me, and I've also collected some while I'm up north. Down here in Missouri, we don't have it, and so I saved this and I cut it into little strips like this. And this comes in very handy for starting fires. As you can see, it takes a flame and it keeps burning. I'm not sure what all's in it, and there the wind just blew it out. But there's many times where I've used birch bark. Let's say the wood that you've gathered is just a little bit damp. Take a couple strips of birch bark and get them lit, and you can stick it underneath your tinder, and that'll help you get it going. Another trick that I carry is just a candle stub. Again, another well-known trick, but instead of just throwing away your candle stubs, throw them in your belt pouch or what have you, and this comes in handy. You can maybe start it with your char cloth or what have you, your punk, and you can set that in the ground and get your bundle lit with that. Another item is fat wood. I carry pieces of fat wood, again, in my belt pouch. And these light pretty easy, and they stay lit for quite a while, and they'll burn even in wet conditions. This is a very handy item. This is just basically strips of pine. If you find a downed, dead pine tree, a lot of times you break off limbs and you'll find this pieces of wood that are saturated in the sap, makes fat wood. Again, that's a very handy tool. So if I keep all three of these, actually I keep fat wood and I keep strips of birch bark in my belt pouch with my flint and steel, and I can go out in the woods and start a fire most of the time with just those items, leaving my tinder bundle at home. Something else that I like to carry whenever I'm out in the woods with a flintlock is a small tin of bear's fat. And this is to grease the lock on my gun or any part that might be rust. A lot of times, again, if you're out in just a little bit of moisture, it might be foggy, drizzly, what have you, and you might end up with a little bit of rust. If you're out overnight, that evening at the campfire, you can pull out your bear's grease and you can grease all your lock, your barrel, what have you, anything that might rust. You can even take the lock off your gun and grease up the inside of the lock. I like bear grease the best. Now I know that not, it's hard to come by. I fortunately have a brother. My brother Cliff likes to bear hunt, and so I've got a decent supply of it. But I have also used rendered down deer fat. You could render down pretty much any tallow, beef, what have you. Now some of those, even after they're rendered, they'll get hard. Whereas bear grease tends to stay more like a salve. But on like the deer fat, you can always just set it next to the fire and let it loosen up a little bit, and you can grease it that way. It also works to grease up knife blades. I've used it on knife blades before. Tomahawks, anything metal that's going to rust. If you just give her a little coat of that grease, it'll help prevent that rust. But that's a very, very handy little thing to have. You can fit this in I sometimes carry it in my shot bag. You can carry it in your market wallet. You can even carry it in a pocket. Just use a little tin, and a little bit goes quite a long ways. So continuing in the vein of wet weather tips and tricks, there have been some times where I've been out just for a short day hunt or scout, and I've gotten caught in a little bit of moisture without a cow's knee for the lock of my smoothbore. A couple of things that you can do if you're in that situation, which you can always just carry a cow's knee. That's a good idea. But in those instances where you may get caught in some wettish weather, one thing that I've done, just simply tuck your lock up under your arm like this and point the gun down. Because if you have enough moisture can run. If you have it pointed up like this, moisture can run down this crease in your gun here and run right into your pan. And cause all kinds of issues. You're pretty much done at that point. But if you keep it down, it'll run down the barrel, obviously. So that's a little trick there. You can also take your hat and just cover the lock of your gun. Let's say you're sitting or what have you. You can just cover it with your hat. So in a wilderness setting, fire is very key to your well-being. For warmth, cooking, boiling water, drying out clothes and other items, just a whole myriad of things. One of the problems that you run into when you're out in the wilderness for several days at a time is you're having to restart your fire all the time. Say you get up in the morning, you're going to go on a hunt, but you want to make some coffee first. You start a fire, you make your coffee, you go about your day, you come back late afternoon, evening, and you have to restart your fire. One thing that you can do to help prevent having to totally restart fires all the time is what I call banking a fire. I'm not sure if that's the proper terminology. I'm sure someone on YouTube will correct me. If it's not, let me know in the comment section. Basically, you have a fire going, you have a good bed of coals, and before you leave, you bank the fire, which is you gather up the loose ash and you cover up those coals, mounding it up good, and those coals underneath those ashes will keep for hours at a time. So ideally, whenever you return, you dig down through there, find some live coals, and restart your fire. So in the course of doing research on clothing and what have you, I kept running across references in runaway ads and so on, and in period images of guys wearing caps like a linen or worsted cap underneath their hats. This was typically in cooler weather. And so I started thinking about it, and I've always wanted to, I like to wear a hat rather than just a cap. But sometimes in cold weather, if you wear a hat, you have problems with your ears getting cold. So one way to deal with that is to do what they did back then, wear a cap underneath your hat. Now, I made me a linen cap here, and don't know if it's totally correct. I basically inspected some period images very closely, and from what I could tell, this is what I come up with here. It was basically a cap, a two-piece cap with a seam running down the middle. So you have two pieces. Whether that's totally correct or not, I'm not sure. Again, I based it off of period images, and it's thin enough, being of linen, to fit underneath the hat. It actually works fairly well. You can cover your ears, and still wear a hat. Here are two runaway ads found in the Pennsylvania Gazette, and they mention having caps underneath hats. June 21st, 1759. Runaway from the subscriber living in Letitia Court, Philadelphia. A servant boy, about 18 years of age, born in Ireland. Had on when he went away a white cap, new silk handkerchief, half-worn castor hat. December 9th, 1757, Philadelphia. Runaway last Monday from the subscriber. Had on when he went away an old felt hat and a worsted cap. Well, I hope that y'all have enjoyed this video and hopefully have learned a little bit, some tricks and stuff that you can take out into the woods with you next time you're out and about. But till next time, guys, thanks a lot for watching.